You've probably heard the phrase, let your money work for you. But what if I told you money refuses to work unless you hand it a big paycheck? That's the uncomfortable truth about compound interest. People treat it like some magical force that turns a few coins into a fortune if you just wait long enough. But in real life, that magic doesn't show up unless there's a decent amount of money involved. And it definitely doesn't happen overnight. See, compound interest sounds incredible on paper, but in practice, it's one of the slowest ways to build wealth, especially if you're starting with small amounts. The idea is that your money earns interest, and then that interest earns interest and so on. But here's the catch most people never talk about. Compounding only starts feeling powerful when the money you've invested is big enough to actually produce results you can see. Let's say you put $100 into an account earning 10% a year. That's considered a good return. After 1 year, you've made $10. That's it. Enough for a sandwich and a soda. It's technically working, sure, but it's not exactly changing your life. Now take that same 10% return but apply it to $100,000. That's $10,000 in a single year. Same percentage. Huge difference. That's when it starts to matter. The numbers don't lie. But when you're just starting out, the math feels discouraging. You're watching your money grow by a few cents, maybe a couple of dollars. It doesn't feel like progress. It feels like waiting in traffic while everyone else seems to be speeding by. And this is where a lot of people give up. They hear financial experts saying, start early, let compound interest do the work. So they try. They put in a bit of money, they wait, and then nothing exciting happens. Maybe their $500 turned into $520 over the year. That's great, but it's not life-changing. It doesn't make them feel like their money is working. And that's the part nobody really explains. Compound interest is slow in the beginning, painfully slow. The snowball effect that everyone talks about, it doesn't kick in until years later, and only if you keep adding snow. Here's a real example. If you invest $1,000 at 8% annual return, in 10 years, you'll have around $2,158. That's a gain of just over $1,000 in a whole decade. That's not going to retire you. In fact, it's barely enough to cover a few emergency expenses. But now let's say you had $100,000 earning that same 8%. After 10 years, that grows to over $215,000. That's a $115,000 profit without doing any extra work. Same interest rate, same amount of time. But the starting amount makes all the difference. That's why compound interest only truly works when you're playing with big numbers. You know how people say the rich get richer? This is one of the reasons why. They already have money. They don't need to hustle as hard because their money is doing the heavy lifting. If someone has a $1 million portfolio earning 7% a year, they're making $70,000 annually without touching the principal. That's more than some people earn working full-time jobs. Meanwhile, someone starting with $1,000 earning 7% is making $70 a year. That's not even enough to fill up your gas tank. So yes, compound interest is real. But it's not some shortcut to riches. It's more like a reward for already having money, or for consistently building toward that point. Now, that doesn't mean it's useless if you're starting small. It just means you have to approach it differently. Think of it like planting seeds. If you plant one seed, it might take years to grow into something useful. But if you plant dozens, water them regularly, and wait patiently, eventually you'll have a garden full of fruit. In financial terms, that means save aggressively, even if it's hard. Increase your income whenever you can. Keep your expenses low. Invest consistently, not just once in a while, because compound interest works best when paired with consistency. It's not a magic trick, it's a multiplier, but it needs something to multiply. Let's say you invest $200 every month for 30 years, earning an average return of 8%. By the end of that 30 years, you'll have around $280,000. That sounds pretty solid, right? Now double that to $400 a month. You end up with over $560,000. Same time frame, same interest. But by investing more each month, you gave compounding more to work with. That's the real key. It's not just the interest rate, it's the amount you invest over time. In fact, in the early stages, your contributions matter way more than your returns. The return becomes more meaningful later when your account is bigger. That's why wealthy people get such great results. They've already done the hard part, building up their principal. Now they just let the math do the rest. And for everyone else, the focus shouldn't just be on trying to earn 1% more or chasing higher returns. The focus should be on growing the pile, getting that base amount high enough for the returns to actually matter. You can think of it like this. If someone is earning 5% on $500,000, they're making $25,000 a year. Another person might be chasing 15% returns on $1,000, hoping to triple their money. But even if they succeed, that's still just $3,000. The risk is higher, the stress is higher, and the reward is still smaller. That's why the wealthy can afford to be boring with their investments. Because the math is already working in their favor. So what should you do if you're starting from zero? Start where you are, but make a plan to grow from there. Don't expect miracles from a $50 investment. But do understand that every dollar is a brick, and your job right now isn't to build a mansion in a day, it's to lay one solid brick at a time. You don't need a high salary to start either, you just need discipline. If you're making $1,000 a month and saving 10%, that's a good start. As your income grows, increase that percentage. Aim to invest 20%, 30%, or even more if you can. The faster you build your principal, the sooner compound interest starts working in your favor. That's when the math begins to feel real. That's when your money actually starts working without you. And let's be honest, it feels amazing when you reach the point where your investments are growing faster than you can save. That's financial momentum, but you don't get there by luck. You get there by doing the unsexy work. Saving, investing, waiting. Don't overlook the fact that early growth is mostly just you putting money in. If your investments are growing, but only because you're feeding them, don't be discouraged. That's what's supposed to happen. The working for you part comes later. Eventually, the snowball starts rolling, and when it does, it'll feel like it came out of nowhere. But you'll know the truth. You built it, slowly, quietly, brick by brick. So if you've been doubting whether it's worth it to invest while you still feel broke, this is your answer. Yes, but not for fast results. You're not investing for today. You're building a system that rewards your future. Every dollar saved now is buying time later. And that's what true wealth really is. It's time, peace of mind, and choices. Compound interest doesn't just give you more money. It gives you more freedom if you let it. If you take anything away from this video, let it be this. Compound interest is powerful, but only if you're patient and consistent. It doesn't reward the flashy. It rewards the steady. And if you're ready to start stacking, even if you're starting small, you're already ahead of most people. Because most people never start at all. You don't need to get rich overnight. You just need to stay in the game long enough for the math to finally tip in your favor. That's when things start compounding. Not just your money, but your confidence, your discipline, and your financial freedom. This journey is slow at first, and that's okay. It's supposed to be. Think long, stay steady, stack quietly. If this helped you shift how you think about growing your money, let me know in the comments. What part hit hardest for you? And if you're on your journey to build that first 100K, the part where compounding finally starts to work, click over to the next video. You're not broke, you're building. Stay focused, keep going. And remember, compound interest works best when you give it something to work with.